is the second episode of We Control Energy, and we are Control Energy. With me today, my co-founder Adlan.
Hi.
So we had this idea to talk about the electricity dark secrets.
Why do we call it dark secrets?
But simply because there are many hidden things in the back, and today we will take you on a journey to discover the hidden secrets, the inefficiencies, and how to improve that. So buckle up. The first part will be the invisible inefficiencies, and on this regard, Adlan, I had often this discussion about electricity, and I realized that people think that it's a simple process from the generation to your house. It's like having a wire from your power plant up to your electricity socket in the wall. So maybe we should clarify that first.
Yes, as you've said, there's a lot of things that may look mystical or covered about electricity and the technology behind to generate it and to make it travel from the power plant or whatever any means to generate electricity to your house. A lot of things can happen in that process, and all those things are not forcingly good for you, for your energy bill, for the planet, etc. And the first, let's say, problem with that is the way we have to produce electricity. So far, at large scale, the most used ways to produce electricity is to produce alternating current, and that by all the classical ways to, whatever the first step is, we make something move to make something else turn, that make magnets turn and produce a magnetic field that will become an alternating current. That, as a first step, is might be a serious problem.
Yes, and in this regard, I wrote a blog article named Let's Break the Energy Idler Wheel. Because at the end, I realized that everything we do is to hit stuff, no matter what it is, to create pressure, to create motion, to generate electricity out of this motion. And it even goes for nuclear. So, nuclear reaction at the end is just heating water to generate electricity out of this steam.
Yes, pressurized steam, and making things move. I mean, the movement in generating electricity is something we can't technically avoid because electricity is movement. But we can do that in other ways. And in my opinion, we are not digging enough to see if we can do that in other ways.
Yeah. And do you think that this is the only inefficiency that we have in the process?
Well, of course not. But as a first stone in the dark side path to uncover the electricity secrets, it's this. Why? Because we are generating alternating current, and the alternating current comes with its pros and cons. That's what you have on your walls, on the plugs you have at your house, and that's what is used to light streets and roads, etc. But most of the time, it will require big wires, transformers, because that energy, when it's produced as an alternating current, it will lose its power on its way to your house or to the road or streets, etc. And if we want to keep that power, we need to use transformers to boost that energy. and that is not coming without any cost.
So to maybe to simplify, like see see this process with the transformers, etc., as checkpoints. In reality, all the process is going from generation up to the first checkpoint, up to the second checkpoint, up to the third checkpoint, up to your house. And well, maybe you should clarify the role of these checkpoints.
Well, the checkpoints do mainly two things. The first one is boosting the current because, as I said, it's losing its energy as any traveling object in this universe. And we want that energy to be at the maximum to be able to deliver the right current and enough energy to every house, etc. And the other checkpoint and the other point is to keep the temperature, humidity, and all the factors that can affect the electricity travel to your house. That process, we need to keep the temperature and humidity and all other factors as low as possible because cables are gonna heat and the weather is going to affect the cables, and if they are affected by humidity, temperature, etc., or rain or thunder or stuff like that, it will once again lose its power, and that can damage the checkpoint equipments and also can damage the equipment you have plugged at your house.
You know, I like this analogy that I use a lot, actually. So maybe you saw it in another video before. But for me, transporting electricity from the generation to your house, it's like choosing to transport water from the source to your house by a weird process of freezing and unfreezing water. So you freeze it to ice, then you turn the ice to water times again. And that's normal that every time you heat the ice back to water, you lose some water in the process in form of steam. And that's the same thing that happens with electricity at the end.
Yes, you can't keep 100% of it, so a big part of it is going to be lost in form of heat, and that heat, that was energy. People are paying for it. And that heat is going to be stuck in the planet, and that's good. That's not good for for nature, you know.
What about the you talked about the alternative current, and you mentioned the AC current, DC current. What's the relationship between them?
Yes, mainly we, as I said, we produce energy, mainly produce energy as alternating current, but we most of the time never use it. 90% of the stuff that works with electricity that you plug at your house, from your computer, from your phone charger to the fridge, anything like that, is transforming that alternating current to a DC current, to a direct current. So here's coming the second transformation you have in the process. So after all the checkpoints, losing a bunch of energy at each checkpoint, once it arrives at your house and you are ready to use it, your devices are going to transform that energy once again. And that transformation may lose small to some critical amounts of energy depending on the device and how good the device is. So you are using DC current. It's the second time after all the checkpoints that the electricity is transformed once again by your devices. So depending on how far you are from the power plant, it may be one, two, three, maybe 100 of checkpoints before with transformers, losing energy each step. And once it arrives at your house and you are ready to use it for whatever it is, your devices are going to transform that energy once again from alternating current to direct current. And that also doesn't come with no cost. Um, Depending on the device quality and how energy it needs, the transformation may be some serious business there, because you may lose about 70% of the energy that is being consumed and transformed into heat to give you that direct current your devices need. So you are basically using direct current, but you are being provided alternating current.
Oh, we have an interesting question from Eric. Why did we choose 120 volt for houses? What that specific voltage? I think like Eric may live in the US because here in Europe we have 220 volts, 240 volts. So maybe you have an answer, Adlan.
Yes, that's 100% true. 120 volts for the US and for Canada, and for the rest of the world, we have 220 volts. um, that is the that value of 120 is basically breathed energy. You are producing 220 volts, and that's raw current coming out of dehydrated transformer from the power plant, and it needs to be lowered down to be transported with ease. That's interesting and intelligent from the US, because you will need less checkpoints and you can make your electricity travel further with less checkpoints and with less transformers in the process if you have less power.
Ah, okay, that's interesting actually because like the common sense will push you to think that I need more power to go further and not the other way around.
Yes, we may think about it like this, but there is, the loss in energy when the electricity is traveling is not a linear process. It's logarithmic process. So it's gonna start to lose its energy with big chunks of it, and it's gonna slow down, slow down, slow down uh, to some limits, of course.
Exactly. And speaking of losses again, what about the other type of losses? And I'm thinking of the line loss that we have during transmission and during the electricity transportation.
Yes, the obviously, something that deceives many people is the fact that electricity is not actually traveling inside the cables. It travels around the cables. It's a kind of magnetic field. No, it's not a kind of. It is a magnetic field that travels around the cables, and that's why when you visit some big power plants, etc., you're gonna be told to not approach the cables at certain limits because you may be electrocuted. Well, why would you be electrocuted if you do not touch the cables? Well, that's because electricity travels around the cables. And stating this fact, the travel speed of electricity in the around the cables is way higher than an object going from point A to point B. Like if it was a car, it's not like that, because I don't know if I've been through a video recently that where a guy connected a lamp with the battery, and he took I think 10 miles of cable, and he made the entire circuit going 10 miles around the battery, and he made the calculation and said, oh, if I connect the battery now and I know the speed of electrons, it should take like 1 second for the lamp to turn on. It wasn't the case. It turned on right away. That's because the cable, even if it was 1 mile of cable, the magnetic field was instantly built around the 1 mile of the cable, and that makes electricity go way faster. You have a lot of losses because of that, because it's a magnetic field and because it's traveling around the cables, and the cables are going to suffer from heat and from other factors.
Exactly, exactly. And something that shocked me, the line loss is not something fractional, like some 0 point something percent. Like if we take a city like Paris, where we are based, the line loss of Paris is about 16%. So 16% of the energy produced is lost in the process from the generation up to the city. And that's enormous first. And at the end, that's paid by us, by the end users and the consumers.
Well, somehow we use that energy. It's not 100% loss because there's what we call reactive power in the alternating current. And that is very important for some kind of equipments that are not that widely used today. They were widely used before, but technology advanced and we do not use them that much today. I'm thinking about the kind of devices like resistive devices, like the heating stuff for houses, like big engines, big motors, etc. This kind of devices are relying on the reactive power. So somehow it's not 100% lost, but still, it's not used by 100% of people. You do not have electro vans at home. You do not have big motors opening doors and stuff like that. So yes, that kind of power might still be useful in some cases, and in my opinion, should be delivered specifically like a specialized line to this facilities that needs this kind of power.
Yeah, and before we dig deeper into this, maybe some context about the AC and the DC current and their inventions, because I love the story where, for once in his life, Tesla was right for the wrong reasons.
Yes, and now so far, I think Edison was right. Finally, the DC current is way more useful than AC current. It produces way less energy losses, and we use it in all the devices. And you know, even my fridge now is using DC current. It has big transformer inside and a pump, a DC pump inside. So yeah, finally, Edison was got the point for this.
To clarify this point, for those who don't know, there was a fierce battle between Edison and Tesla. And at that time, Tesla invented the AC current, or discovered, I should say discovered in reality, not invented. But, and on the other hand, Edison was all on the DC current. And that was like a fierce battle because at that time there was no grid and everything was to build. And at the end, the US opted for AC current, everyone opted for AC current, and Tesla was right. But after some decades now, we realize that maybe DC was the way to go if we only knew.
Yes, but maybe to his defense,
You're a fan, so you will take his defense anyway.
yes and no. You know that he was a big brain. Let's be honest, he was a big brain, and he thought about things that revolutionized the industry of technology. But I'm gonna keep this for myself. And to his defense, I would say that it would have been very hard to imagine that electricity will be able to transmit information, and that's the main reason why the DC current is widely used today, because we mainly transfer our information, our technology information with electricity. You know, DC current can make one and zero, but alternating current is making one, then zero, then one, then zero, then one, then zero, etc. So with DC current, we can control the kind of information we want to transmit, and that makes microcontrollers works, microprocessors works, and it tells you when someone is knocking at your is pushing the bell at your door. It's sending this video over the internet, etc. If he was aware of this, I think he would have said to Edison, "Okay, you got this point. I'm joining the team."
DC current is now, as you said, widely used, and you can check it for yourself. Like, look into your house, everything comes with a transformer. Like, mm, if I had to check what works with AC current at home right now, for me, like, I don't have anything working with AC current. Like, even my oven, even my fridge, etc., are using DC current. And you can, yeah.
Maybe washing machine.
Oh yeah. So I need to check. I need to open my washing machine looking for the transformer, if there's a transformer or not. But yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah, maybe if it's old enough, it's 100% AC current because there is a big motor inside, etc. But I think the most recent one, I mean, mine is using DC current. It's a washing machine from 2020 and it's using DC current. I was shocked. I was connecting it and, push the water and the tubes, etc. And I was going to plug it to the wall as the final step to test it. And I was reading the tiny label and it was saying 220 volts input and 48-volt DC output. Even the motor inside was 48-volt DC.
So it was like an e-bike motor inside your washing machine.
Yep, that's a good idea actually. If it breaks, I know what I'm gonna upcycle it to.
Yeah, exactly. And we could do the opposite. I think, like, we could take some washing machines motors and turn them into electric vehicles. That can be fun.
Mad Max. That's what I'm thinking.
So now, before we go to your house, not literally to your house, but before we dig into our domestic usage of electricity, I wanted to take a moment and talk about a project we are running right now. So I wanted to talk about this. What's this? This is Zero. So it's a new portable battery that we are launching. It's on beta test right now, so you can test it. And Zero is somehow different from your average battery because it's both. Oh, I need to reverse it. So it's both modular and scalable and comes with tons of features like these. For example, if you want to make a phone call or a YouTube channel like this, you just need to do this. And now we are running the beta test. It's nomorezero.com. You will have the link in the chat. For 10% of the retail price, you can join the beta test. So give it a try. Let's go back to the live now. At the end, we see that DC current is everywhere inside the buildings. So the question is, why do we still have and why do we still need AC current outside?
It's the most widely used way to produce energy, to produce electricity. Not all the ways to produce electricity are producing AC current. The most green one, the most cleaner one, are producing DC current. For example, wind turbines and solar panels. Those are producing DC current. And some other ways that are not that much used to are the fuel cartridges. There's fuel cartridges where the electricity is produced basically by a chemical reaction, and that is also producing DC current. So, oddly enough, the cleaner ways to produce electricity is to produce DC current. I'm not saying that you're not gonna need transformers, etc., to make that DC current travel from the power plant to your house, because DC current is going to lose its energy too. As anything in this universe, once again, if it's travel enough for a distance, it's going to lose its energy. But to produce DC current, we can do it at smaller scale, and it can be enough for each one of us.
That's right. And well, I have a controversial theory about why do we still need AC current. It's all about infrastructure. Like we have an infrastructure in place, and it was not cheap to deploy all these cables all around countries, continents, and even overseas. And now we need to make a return on investment. Plus, it will be too expensive to switch overnight from this old way of generating and transporting energy to a completely new way. I don't know if you are aligned with me on this, or do you think like it's a little bit overthinking?
Maybe it's a little bit overthinking. But okay, it's totally well thought, and I align with you enough on it. Let's say at 80%, I'm okay with it. The infrastructure, even if it's there, even if we still have the cables, etc., we still can use them to transport DC current.
Yes, true, but like, does the current infrastructure adapted for DC current?
It's not, well, for the cables at least it's not, but what you were calling the checkpoints might be. Well, at the end, if we produce DC current and make it travel for 100 miles or 1,000 miles away, um, we are going to need more checkpoints than for AC current. That's the thing, because DC current have way less reactive power, and it's going to lose its energy way faster than AC current. So yeah, at the end you are right. At the end you are right. If we use the same power plants and replace the AC current by DC current, we're going to fall in the same inefficiencies.
Yeah, so yeah, I was right. And so one way maybe to overcome this difficulty is to reduce the distance between the generation and the consumption of electricity.
Yes, that's the perfect way to, maybe not the perfect, but the cleaner way and the most optimized way to use DC current as main power source.
And that's what why microgrids and nanogrids are a credible option to consider today, because basically a microgrid is just a smaller version of a grid where the generation is closer to the endpoint, meaning that you don't have, well, the same cost of maintenance, the same cost of transportation, and also it adds up security to the overall mix. If you have 10 generation points, you reduce the risk of a total blackout compared to one.
Yes, and there's another very important factor about that. The power plants that produce AC current um, are, one, very noisy, and two, produce a lot of gases and stuff that goes in the atmosphere. And that's the main reason why we do not put them very close to cities. While producing DC current with, let's say, wind power, there's no harmful gases going off that, and it doesn't make any noise. Maybe it makes a little bit, but uh, you know, you can make it with it. Let's say solar panels. Solar panels makes no noise. That's the perfect solution.
I'm a bigger fan of solar compared to wind. Um, I can't explain it, but I feel like wind is not a scalable solution, and not not scalable first, but not fractionable too. So we won't have like a one wind turbine per building, for example.
Yes, if you want my opinion, I think that um, why you prefer solar panels is because you hold grudges to the fact that we need to make things move and rotate to produce electricity. That's what the wind turbines are doing. They move and turn around and they produce electricity. But yes, but at the end, do we really want to have one energy source per building? Because it's going to make the grid bigger. Maybe it would be more interesting to have smaller power plants producing smaller amounts of DC current and keep the grid. Why not?
Like the grid comes with a big downside, which is the maintenance.
Yes,
So that's where I disagree with you regarding like the actual situation of the grid. It's like the maintenance, well, the maintenance cost will only increase over time.
true. Of course, I do not want to have a wind turbine on the top of my house. I would prefer to have solar panels. Especially, I'm living in very windy place, and I do not want to find my house flying away because of the turbines on the top.
Does our consumption optimal, and are we facing losses just outside our buildings, meaning in the grid, because we've been like bashing the grid for some minutes now, and we need also to look inside the building and see how we consume energy, because the problem is not only how it's generated, transported, etc., but also how it's consumed today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are thinking about changing the way of producing electricity and transport it in another way to the houses and provide it to the people as a solution to the current energy crisis. But all this is leveraging by the bottom the current technology. Because if we think about it for 2 minutes, the main problem here is our way to consume electricity and to consume energy. We are not doing it in the right way, and we are not saving it, and we treat electricity as something that is acquired, which is not. We keep, for example, our laptop chargers, phone chargers plugged to the wall just because we are too lazy to plug them each time we need them. I have coworkers. I know a lot of people that have a laptop they buy a second laptop charger that they keep at their house because they do office hours at house, and they have another charger that is always plugged at the office when they are working.
Yeah, so you are referring to Adlan, right?
Yes, I have four of them actually because I live in four places. I even have one that is plugged in my car.
But what's the problem with that? What's the deal? Like having my charger plugged, I'm not plugging my computer, I'm not charging the computer, so it's just like a charger's, here plugged to the wall, and that's it.
Well, if you know, I'm gonna. Yeah, I do not want to bash Apple devices again. I'm not a big fan of Apple devices, but honestly, if the MacBook charger was a simple cable that was picking the electricity from the wall and put it in the laptop, it no certainly won't cost $60. There's more inside of it. There's electronics inside, there's transformers, and your laptop battery is not working with 220 volts or 120 if you're living in the US or Canada. Now, because of the comment we had earlier, I have to precise this each time I'm talking about the values of the alternating current. But your charger, may it be laptop, phone, or whatever, it's constantly picking the alternating current coming from your wall plug, transform it to DC current, and it's not only transforming the type of current, it's also transforming how big the current is. Because you have, as we said before, 120 volt or 220 volt. And your laptop battery at best is working with 12 volt. It's 10% of the value that you have from the wall. So all this is constantly happening while your charger is still plugged to the wall. Today we have some smart chargers. I'm calling them smart just because they are well built, let's say it this way. They can detect and know when a device is plugged to them or not. So the conception of the charger is not the same when you are charging with it and when it's only plugged to the wall. That's for certain. But to power themselves, they need electricity. Otherwise, there's absolutely no other way to know if something is plugged to them. There's the smart part, the micro-controlled part, the electronics, the sensors that are detecting the how many current is being pulled from them, and that's how they know if they are charging or not. So when your laptop is requesting more energy because it's at 10%, the charger will boost itself and consume more energy to power your laptop. And if there's no energy that is pulled from them, they will lower that value at the minimum. But still, they will at least pick that 5 volt, let's say 1 amp, to power their own circuitry, their own electronics, and their own sensors to decide if they deliver or not the energy.
When you keep your charger plugged, it's constantly consuming and transforming energy. There's no zero sum game at the end. Like, it's whether it if it's an old charger, it transforms more than new ones, but you always have this kind of loss. And what that's what we call the vampire energy. Why vampire? Because it sucks up the current, you don't use it, you don't see it, you don't feel it. It's a fraction of your consumption. So it's not, you won't double up your electricity bill per month, but at scale we feel it, and we feel it as individuals per year, we feel it as communities and as countries.
Um, this scales very quickly and it snowballs very quickly. Even let's say if each person on Earth that has a laptop keep the transformer plugged to the wall, for sure, at the scale of one person, it's gonna represent like maybe less than €1 per year in the energy bill. But that €1 for 4 million person, for 10 million person, 100 million person, that's a lot of energy that could be used in something else.
And you talked about like the new chargers generations, etc. Can we solve this problem with technology only, and can we use technology to solve completely this problem?
Yes, we somehow do it. We somehow do it, and how we do it is with batteries. Um, we've developed a battery. It's called LiPo, and it's lithium battery. The difference with what you have in the market is this battery is modular, so you can scale it up and increase capacity, etc. But the most important part of it is its use its own energy to detect your devices that are plugged to it and the energy that is pulled from them. So the energy they use to sense the devices is not coming from your walls, but it's coming from the energy that is stored in them. And that's way cleaner.
Mhm. And can we get to like zero vampire energy?
Yes, with good behaviors.
No, no, I mean with technology, like with good behaviors, we could save the world. that's that's wishful thinking, but like, okay, let's rely on technology for now, and then we will look after for good behaviors.
Yeah, I mean, we rely too much on technology to solve our problems for us. We make the problem. Finally, that's what we are doing. Each time, if we look into history, each time we run into an energy crisis, the only thing and the only solution that we found and we applied is change the way we produce energy each time. And that's not what I call innovation. That's revolutions because we are turning around. We are finding new ways to produce energy, to produce more energy and consume it in useless manners, useless ways, to power some wireless earbuds, etc. And that we're turning around. That's why maybe yes, we can solve this with technology if we find a good way to punish people that have bad behaviors. Like if we make batteries that are connected to their bank account APIs, and they will be punished if they keep their laptop charger plugged to the wall for more than 24 hours without using it. I'm giving ideas to people.
That can be like a great concept, just like some car insurance companies that reward good drivers. If you spend some, you know, months or years with no accidents, your subscription price is decreased. So you pay less for your insurance if you are a good driver. And maybe like we should do apply it to electricity, where like if you are consuming sustainably, you may be rewarded with a lower subscription price because you always have this fixed price that you pay as a subscription plus your consumption. Maybe like if you are working for a utility, here is like an idea to pitch next Monday to your team's meeting.
Yes, and yes, if following the same idea like we have in Paris, if you go to the office with bicycle or the common transport means, you are rewarded too. That's to reduce the carbon emission in the atmosphere, and that's a way to change behaviors and make I'm not saying that people are bad. I'm saying that people doesn't know enough and they are not warned enough about these bad behaviors. It's not their fault. I'm not saying people are bad and they consume and they do. No, people doesn't know that their chargers are still consuming energy when they are plugged to the wall. And we are not telling that as much as we should to them. Because if we do it, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people will stop doing it.
And for you, like, what will be the best practices? Because okay, we are talking about like electricity in general, talking about how the process happens from the generation up to the end point, etc. But at the end, the main concern of everyday people like us is what we pay. And we see that the price is constantly increasing. We can blame a climate change, we can blame inflation, etc. But the fact is, at the end, we pay more euros or dollars per month. And what will be like some healthy, easy to follow behaviors that won't require you to invest in solar panels and start like an overnight shift to off grid? you can do it, but it's not easy for everyone. Some people, don't have a roof, or some people don't have the financial means to jump to solar, but still want to reduce their electricity consumption without any downside on their daily life. So what would you advise?
Um, I live in an apartment, so I can't have solar panels. I feel the people that want to reduce their energy bill and have a cleaner energy consumption, but they can't do it, just like me. And as I said earlier, I do not want to have a wind turbine on the top of my building. So, um, what they can do is have home storage, home energy storage, like our LiPo batteries. And our LiPo batteries can take the energy you have from the grid and store it for a very long time and give it to you when you need it, and even give it to you every day. But the best thing about them is that they pick the energy when it's at the lowest cost, because the price for energy is not the same at different hours of the day. There's on peak hours and off peak hours. And on peak hours, which is most part of the day, that's where most people consume energy. That's where the all the lights are turned on, all the factories are running, all the offices are working, etc. That's where the energy is the most pricier. And at the end of the day and in the night, when the lights are off and people are sleeping, etc., that's where the energy is at the lowest cost. That's where the LiPo batteries are charging. And basically, that makes you pay less for your electricity because you are technically buying it at the lowest cost. And you can consume it whenever you need it. The best part about this is if you are from the other kind of people that can have solar panels or wind turbines on the top of your house, if you like that, you can also store that energy into our LiPo batteries and make it run in the exact same way. It also stores your energy self-produced or by the grid.
Well, that was a clever way to place promotion for our product. Hats off.
Innovation. Innovation, that's what I'm doing. That's not lies,
Yeah.
That's true.
Now, I will leave my role in marketing and promotion, etc., and leave it to you now. I didn't expect such a
Oh,
brilliant and subtle way to introduce our product. So, but
well, sorry, when you've been working on something for 6 years now, you start thinking about it 24/7.
we have a great comment here. Rui asks, I hope I can have a real-time display of the energy cost at home.
Yes, you have that with our batteries, but I'm gonna stop to make our promotion. Well,
Yeah. So, regarding our batteries, we noticed that 99.9999% of the electricity smart meters are displaying your consumption in watt per hour or kilowatt per hour. That can be weird for some people. Maybe you can explain what's the difference between the watt and the watt per hour.
Oh, the watt is a power unit that mainly tells you how much power a device needs to work properly, or how much power an energy source is producing. And a watt per hour is a consumption. It's telling you that if you run this device for 1 hour, this is the value that is gonna consume from the grid or from whatever energy source you have. So that's two main different things. And if you look at your energy bill, you are gonna read watt per hour, kilowatt per hour. You would love to have watt per hour. It means that you are mainly consuming like a power bank per month of energy.
Like, when is it correct to compare like the watt or the kilowatt and the kilowatt per hour to distance and speed?
Kilowatt per hour to distance and speed. Yes, somehow. Somehow the distance can be the watt and the speed can be the watt per hour. Yes, can totally be compared like this.
Yeah, so this is like a simplification to understand the difference. And to get back to our product and our app, we find it like not so helpful to have a display in kilowatt per hour, and we decided to display your energy consumption in real time in your currency, and also your savings in real time in your local currency. So that's something we are working on. It's not easy to do, to make it like international and at scale, but hopefully we will do it next year.
Yes, we'll talk to way more people to read their consumption in euros, dollars, or whatever currency they have instead of kilowatt per hour. You know, all people are not electricity techies, etc.
Mm. Plus, I think like it can introduce a notion of gamification. If you can see in real time what you are consuming, what you are saving, humans like challenges by nature, and we like to play. And if you feel like, okay, my actions have like a direct, uh, an immediate reaction on my consumption, but also on my bank account, you will, get this habit that will build over time of beating the game.
Yes, definitely. Now, my son is still young, but I'm planning to play to this with him. Like take the phone app with our batteries, with our Pixel installed in my house. It will be then, and tell him, look, this value. If you turn on the light, this value will increase, and if you turn off the light, this value will lower. And that's gonna be a game for him. He's gonna well, hopefully he's not gonna try to reach the highest value possible, and I'm gonna try to sensitive him to have the lowest value for him and for the planet, because if the value is low, he's gonna have more toys.
Mm. And now this is about like you promoted our product in a wonderful way, but beyond the energy storage, do you think that using IoT and connected product at home can contribute to a better consumption, a more responsible consumption? For example, I'm thinking of like smart LED bulbs, smart thermostat, etc.
Like the one I have on the backside on my background. Yes, yes, they can, but they suffer from the exact same leak than chargers and the other devices that we keep plugged to the wall, and we think they are off, but they are not. That's the same thing that is happening with IoT devices, because the smart bulb I have on the backside of my office, I can turn it off with my phone and I can turn it on with my phone. But when it's off, it's not zero consumption device because it's still connected to Wi-Fi, and it needs to ping the router and ping the Wi-Fi and see if the network is still there. And it needs to receive the commands that is being sent from the app or from the router or computer. So there is a small amount of energy that is consumed by these devices even when they are off, and the more you have of them, the biggest this consumption will be. and that can be considered as a vampire energy.
I think it was last week where we had this discussion regarding the repercussions of the IoT at home, energy wise. And just for you, we want to build a study around this, and we would like it to be um, in crowdsourcing, so everyone who is willing to take part to this study or to this experiment through our community is welcome to join in. Yeah, and we have a little community that is thriving, and the idea is very simple: is to see if our IoT vampire energy over time beats not having IoT at home and managing everything manually. Because right now we try to find study online or any white paper or any document about it, and we couldn't find it. And that would be definitely interesting to know and to share with the world. So happy to have you contributing. We will drop the link in the chat after the stream. Now, we've been together for almost 1 hour, and we would love to have some comments from you guys. If you have any question, if you would like to add something to this discussion, help yourself. The comment section is all yours. If we said something dumb and you want to correct us,
We do that a lot.
yeah,
I do that
happens.
a lot. Just like what we were saying about the energy grid,
Mm.
when you said that, yeah, the energy grid is obsolete and we can just replace it with DC current, with small DC power plants somehow. I had to think about it, at a bigger scale, and this idea is, throttling in my head since you said it. What if each small power plant at each house, each building, give the energy that is not used by themselves to a smaller grid, to the microgrid? And that makes somehow redundant energy production.
Exactly. That's the the on demand concept, and that's something that I really like. Like microgrids can communicate and can share the access from one to the other, and it's not like silos. You can see it as layers, and every layer can act on its own, but can also act with the other layers. And I think like that's something that can be the way to go, especially in urban areas where you don't have a big surface for solar panels per house, but you would have it per building or per block. We have a very interesting question from Eric here. So, if AC was discovered, could another type of current be discovered in the future?
Yes, in my very own opinion, it already happened. That's once again something that a lot of people are not aware of. Well, electricity is electricity. Let's treat it as a signal. And DC current and AC current are only two types of this signal that electricity can take. When it's a sine wave, it's AC current because it's alternating. When it's constant, it's a direct current. But your phone charger, for example, if you use a power delivery charger or a fast charger, um, it's effectively picking the AC current from the wall, but it's not giving you DC current. It's giving you what we call a PWM. It's not a direct current, it's a pulse weight modulation current. It means the current is modulating without going on the negative side of the sine wave. It goes on the zero side, but the modulation is calculated to give you some peaks of high current, and we discovered that this type of current can charge batteries way safer and way faster than direct current. Well, depending on the type of batteries, but for lithium polymer batteries that are widely used on phones and laptops, it's the case. So that's another kind of current we have. There's six or seven other types of current that are available, but they are used in electronics, and so far we didn't find any large scale use for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if we find a new type of current, a new modulation. Maybe we can modulate this in a specific way to maybe give bigger current, or maybe bigger voltage to the current, and might be more interesting for the devices and for the consumption.
Exactly. And what's the, let's say, the biggest advantage of these kind of new currents? And do you think that, well, do you think that it will be possible to have new applications, for example, scaling and thinking of charging other bigger batteries, like your cell phone battery?
Yes. um I can't say yes because it didn't happen again yet, but yes, I think it has a lot of chances to happen. Just like we have supercapacitors can charge very fast with DC current, which is not the case for other types of batteries like lithium polymer batteries. They can charge very fast with a PWM signal, with the PWM current, but they charge slower with DC current. And the main reason for that is the heat. DC current is kind of a beam of energy that is going to the battery, and that makes the battery heat a little bit faster. And when there's metals inside, basically lithium is a metal that is inside the battery. If it's heated enough, it's going to expand, and when it expands, it loses charges. That what makes lithium batteries charge slower on direct current. But when you give it a PWM, it has delayed pauses. So it has a beam when it receives a big chunk of energy, and it exchange charges, which charges the battery. And there's let's say a 0 volt pause where the battery is resting and releasing that heat that have built up. That cycle is happening very, very fast, like maybe 60 hertz, 60 times per second. And that makes the battery cool and charge in the same time. It's not the case for supercapacitors because there's no metal inside that is expanding when it's heated, and it delivers a bigger charge. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if something like that can happen again.
We have another question here. So, what are some common myths about saving electricity that people should be aware of?
Electricity saving plugs. There's a lot of them, and every time I'm on my Instagram, because of the researches I do on the internet, etc., I have ads about plugs that you can plug to your wall, and it's gonna make you save on your electricity bill. That doesn't work. There's absolutely no way for a device that you plug to your wall that will lighten an LED or circuitry inside to make your electricity smoother. That's what they say. And they say when you plug this to your wall, it's going to rectify the electricity you have on your walls, and your electricity bill will be lower. This doesn't work, for example.
Yeah, and I would add maybe sleep mode. And like many people think that like having your any device at home on sleep mode is equivalent to turn it off, and that's not true.
Yes.
Having something on sleep mode is like consuming vampire energy and sensing if you trigger the, for example, if you turn it on with your remote control or whatever. um
There's light in it. You know, for your TV, when you turn your TV off, there's a red light on the bottom, some in the middle or on the right, and that light is powered by something. And that something was alternating current that has been transformed by your TV transformer and been lowered down to 5 volt or 3.3 volt. And if just to power that LED that is telling you that the TV is on power saving mode.
yeah, I would I would also add the importance of insulation. Like whether you live in a very hot or a very cold country, or even like during summer, winter, etc., the best way to have a nice temperature at home but also save energy and money is to have a great insulation of all your walls and roof, because it's stupid to invest in a very sophisticated system with sensors and connected thermostat, etc., if like 40% of the electricity that you are consuming to heat or gas or whatever is lost due to a poor insulation. So that's something really to consider if you want to save energy and money.
But on the other side, something that is very true, and I didn't believe it for a long time when I was younger, and when I was a grown up man, I had my own house, etc. I discovered that it was true. When I was younger, my mom was telling me, "Do not ever put a very hot dish in the fridge," and I was like, "Why? Why I shouldn't do that?" And it was true because if I put something very hot in the fridge, it's going to make the fridge consume more energy to cool back the inside of the fridge when it's closed back. And that was very true. And that was very some ancient wisdom that didn't believe until I did some electronic studies. And I was like, oh, damn, mom was right.
On the same vibe, I would also add like washing machines. Um, Having your machine turned to the maximum spins won't clean your laundry faster or better, but will consume way more electricity. And I did the test myself. So the consumption, like you can reduce the electricity consumption of your laundry machine, but also your laundry time by almost half if you turn the spins by half. And your laundry will be as clean as usual, and plus it won't deteriorate as fast. You will save money also on your textile expenses. So we've been together for more than an hour now. I think it's time to wrap up, Adlan. What do you think?
Yes, let's do it. So,
Okay, so go ahead.
to sum up, it's the system. It's built like that. And when the electricity is produced, you are paying for what it costs to produce it and to transfer it to your house and for what you consume from it. That's the thing. That's the deal. And honestly, I do not find anything dishonest about it because, as Raouf said earlier, it will require a lot of maintenance to keep all the grid working. And this is one of the first inefficiencies of electricity when it's produced, how it's produced, and how it's being transported to your house. Second thing, transformation. You have a lot of devices. Most of your devices are working with DC current, and you are receiving AC current, alternating current. So all your devices have transformers, and they are transforming that energy that alternating current to a direct current to be used efficiently with your devices. That's probably let's call it the second stage of transformation, and you are losing a part of the energy as heat on the process, on checkpoints when it's being transported to your house, and when you are using it. So we have already two stages of transformation. And finally, we've talked about Raouf's favorite ways to produce electricity. And he said that he really likes the wind turbines because he wants to have a flying house. And sorry, I was joking, but yeah, that must be fun. We talked about the most of the cleaner way we have today to produce electricity, and we've talked a lot about solar panels, and we've said that not all means of energy production are producing alternating current. The most cleaner energy production systems are producing DC currents. And we've talked about solar panels and wind turbines as an example of that. And um, solar panels are our favorite solution since it can be used standalone and at smaller scales. Like anybody can have solar panels, except maybe people living in apartments. But for those guys,
Oh, you can. Sorry, just to interrupt you like for a second. You can have them on your balcony, so you have like these new vertical solar panels that you can attach to your balcony, etc. And I wanted to add something. The next episode of We Control Energy will be about solar, and we will have a guest who's specialized in solar. So just a quick announcement about next episode. Yeah, keep on. Sorry for the interruption.
I was already in the confidence. That's why I didn't, expanded much about solar panels. You know, I don't want to be corrected that much on the next episode. So yes, and we've talked about that led us to talk about the vampire energy, and the vampire energy is all the devices, all the small features that all of us like and overexploit that are not that good for the energy bill. Your laptop chargers, phone chargers, some other power supplies, for example, monitors, TVs, etc., are still consuming energy even if they are not charging and even if the device is on sleeping mode. That doesn't make much of a difference on a smaller scale, but believe me, it makes a lot, big difference for a lot of people because there's not only 100 people on Earth. There's way more than that, and we need that planet, and we need the energy that we are making.
We had one section in this event about regulation and policy, etc. But we skipped that one. We didn't really tap into this subject on purpose because we wanted to go for actionable insights, some things that will help you to better understand your own consumption and can take action. And plus, we think that we should invite somebody who's like expert in regulation and energy policy, etc., to discuss this topic. So we skipped it on purpose. And yeah, so that was like a great exchange with you, Alan. Always appreciated.
Thank you.
And see you later in our in our Teams call.
Thank you.
So thanks a lot, guys. If you want to know more about us, you can visit our website. It's control.energy and Lepo, so lepo.tech. All the links will be in the description. Happy to have you joining our community, our newsletter, etc. Stay in touch. If you liked something about the event, today and the discussion, please share it in comment. If you didn't like something, also share it. We can always grow with your feedback. And till then, see you soon, and bye bye.